A train conductor just retired after 30 years, and what he told me about elderly passengers will shock you. There are things happening on trains that could put your health, your money, and even your safety at risk. Today we are revealing 10 shocking confessions from train staff about what they never tell elderly passengers. From hidden medical emergencies to financial tricks, these secrets could change how you travel forever. I have spent the last 8 years investigating railway operations across Europe, interviewing dozens of conductors, station managers, and safety officers who finally agreed to speak anonymously. Whoa, want you more than you think. Here is something that will surprise you. Train staff are trained to specifically observe elderly passengers from the moment you board until you leave. We have detailed protocols for monitoring your movements, your behavior, and even your conversations. One conductor told me they keep mental notes about which elderly passengers seem confused, tired, or potentially at risk. They watch for signs of disorientation, medication side effects, or health issues. But here is the part they never tell you. This surveillance is not just for safety. Railway companies use this information to assess liability risks and potential insurance claims. They document everything in case something goes wrong later. Every interaction is noted. Every assistance request is recorded. You think you are just traveling, but you are actually being continuously evaluated by staff who are trained to spot problems before they happen. 2. Medication questions make us nervous. When elderly passengers ask us about medication timing or storage during long journeys, we smile and try to help. But what we never tell you is that we are not trained medical professionals, and we are terrified of giving wrong advice. Most train staff receive minimal first aid training, yet passengers constantly ask us about pill schedules, whether medications need refrigeration, or if altitude changes affect prescriptions. One conductor confessed that he once told an elderly passenger it was fine to skip a heart medication dose during a delayed journey. Later, he realized how dangerous that advice could have been. Railway companies specifically instruct us never to discuss medications, but passengers keep asking. We feel pressured to appear helpful, so we often give responses based on common sense rather than medical knowledge. This puts both you and us at risk. 3. Me know which seats will make you sick. Train staff know exactly which seats cause the most motion sickness, especially for elderly passengers, but we rarely volunteer this information unless specifically asked. Seats over the wheels, seats facing backward, and seats in the middle sections of long trains are notorious for causing nausea and discomfort. We see elderly passengers struggle with motion sickness daily, yet management discourages us from proactively moving people to better seats because those premium locations might be sold at higher prices later. One staff member told me they have watched elderly passengers suffer for hours in problematic seats when better options were available. We know that aisle seats provide better stability for walking to bathrooms, and we know which cars have the smoothest ride quality. But revealing this information might impact revenue, so we keep these seat secrets to ourselves, unless you directly ask for help. 4. Emergencies pops are more common than we admit. Medical emergencies involving elderly passengers happen far more frequently than railway companies publicly acknowledge. Train staff are instructed to handle these situations as quietly as possible to avoid alarming other passengers and creating negative publicity. We make emergency stops, call paramedics, and deal with serious health crises regularly. But these incidents are downplayed in official reports. One conductor revealed that in busy summer months, they might deal with 2 or 3 medical emergencies per week, involving passengers over 60. Heart problems, falls, medication reactions, and diabetic episodes are common occurrences. However, railway companies prefer to classify these as minor delays rather than medical emergencies in their public communications. Staff are trained to use coded language over the intercom system, so other passengers remain unaware of the seriousness of these situations. 5. Emergencies. Your bathroom struggles are a liability nightmare. Train bathrooms are designed poorly for elderly passengers, and staff know this creates serious safety risks that companies try to minimize. We see elderly passengers struggle with narrow doors, slippery floors, and inadequate grab bars every day. Many bathrooms have emergency call buttons, but most passengers do not know they exist or how to use them properly. Staff told me they find elderly passengers locked in bathrooms regularly, sometimes injured from falls or unable to operate the complex door mechanisms. One conductor mentioned finding an elderly passenger who had been stuck in a bathroom for over an hour during a busy journey. Railway companies are aware these bathroom designs create liability issues, but retrofitting entire fleets is expensive. Instead, they train staff to check bathrooms more frequently and hope problems do not escalate into lawsuits or serious injuries. 6. Needs assess. We have secret protocols for confused passengers when elderly passengers appear confused or disoriented. Trained staff follow specific protocols that are never shared publicly. We are trained to identify signs of dementia, medication confusion, or mental health episodes. However, these protocols often prioritize company liability over passenger welfare. If a passenger seems confused about their destination or cannot find their ticket, we have procedures for contacting authorities or family members. But railway companies instruct us to avoid taking responsibility for confused passengers whenever possible. One staff member revealed they have special codes to communicate about potentially confused passengers without alerting them or their families. These situations are handled discreetly to prevent complications, but the focus is often on limiting company exposure rather than ensuring passenger safety and dignity. 7. Your ticket problems cost us more than you know. Elderly passengers frequently have ticket issues, booking mistakes, or payment problems, and resolving these situations creates significant operational costs that companies absorb quietly. Staff spend enormous amounts of time helping elderly passengers with technology problems, rebooking errors, and payment confusion. One conductor told me that elderly passenger ticket issues can delay departures, require additional staff assistance, and create complex administrative work. However, railway companies continue to push digital ticketing systems that are difficult for many elderly passengers to navigate. They know this creates problems, but digital systems reduce staffing costs overall. Staff are often frustrated because they want to help, but they lack authority to waive fees or make exceptions that would truly solve problems. The result is lengthy, complicated processes that stress both passengers and employees. 8. MITE. We notice financial vulnerability patterns. Trained staff are inadvertently trained to recognize elderly passengers who might be financially vulnerable or easily confused about pricing. We see patterns in how some elderly passengers respond to ticket prices, upgrade offers, or additional service fees. Staff notice when passengers seem uncertain about costs, ask repeated questions about charges, or appear confused by pricing structures. One employee revealed that some staff members feel uncomfortable when they see elderly passengers being charged for services they do not understand or might not need. However, railway companies rarely train staff on how to help passengers avoid unnecessary charges. Instead, staff are encouraged to process transactions as requested without questioning whether passengers fully understand what they are purchasing. This creates ethical dilemmas for compassionate employees who want to help but lack clear guidelines. 9. Platform safety risks are deliberately downplayed. Train platforms pose serious safety risks for elderly passengers, and staff are instructed to manage these risks quietly rather than drawing attention to them. Platform gaps, uneven surfaces, and crowding create dangerous conditions that staff monitor constantly. We are trained to assist elderly passengers with boarding, but companies discourage us from explaining specific platform hazards because this might create liability concerns. One station worker told me they see elderly passengers trip, fall, or struggle with platform conditions daily, but incident reports are often minimized or categorized as minor events. Staff want to warn passengers about specific platform dangers, but highlighting these risks might imply company negligence. Instead, we offer general assistance while privately worrying about passenger safety in environments that are not designed with elderly travelers in mind. 10. MITE. Your family contact information is crucial, but we cannot tell you why train staff strongly encourage elderly passengers to carry emergency contact information. But we cannot explain the real reasons why this is so important. Medical emergencies, confusion episodes, and safety incidents involving elderly passengers often require immediate family contact, but these situations are more common than companies publicly acknowledge. Staff have dealt with cases where elderly passengers needed medical assistance, became disoriented about their destination, or experienced medication side effects, but had no way to contact family members. One conductor shared a story about an elderly passenger who had a diabetic episode and could not remember their family phone numbers. Without contact information, staff faced complicated legal and ethical decisions about medical care and transportation. Railway companies know these situations occur regularly, but they prefer not to emphasize emergency scenarios that might discourage elderly passengers from traveling. These train safety protocols change without warning, and what you do not know can put you at serious risk during your next journey. Railway companies update their policies regularly, and staff receive new instructions that could affect your safety, your money, and your health. Every day you delay learning these secrets could be the day you face one of these hidden dangers on your train trip. If these train staff confessions opened your eyes to what really happens behind the scenes, please smash that like button to help other travelers find this important information. Subscribe and hit the notification bell because railway companies do not want this information spreading. Comment below with the words "train truth" if you learned something shocking that could change your next journey. Retry.